I've never played a Wario platformer before. I've played most of the minigame ones, those are really cool, but never really experienced a true Wario platformer. And there are lots out there, but I decided to jump with the one that just turned 20 years old. So let's jump into Wario World.
Welcome to Wario World.
So Wario's just in his castle, chilling like the villain he is, when all of a sudden amongst his treasures, this evil gem appears called Black Jewel. Yeah, they didn't really burn any brain cells in trying to come up with that one. So Black Jewel turns Wario's treasure into monsters and splits his whole castle into 4 different worlds and a massive locked treasure chest where Black Jewel locks himself in. So now Wario has to travel to these worlds, collecting his treasure back and getting pieces to eventually unlock this giant treasure chest to defeat Black Jewel. In the world, there are also these Spritelings you can rescue. They are creatures who've dealt with Black Jewel before. There are 40 Spritelings scattered in the game, and depending on how many you get at the end determines which ending you get. And if you must know, your boy got the best ending. Yeah, I'm built like that. The little hub world layout is pretty small. There are only 2 levels per world, and each of those worlds ends with a mini boss. And after completing those 2 worlds, you get to open up the world's boss. You just do that 4 times. You fight the Black Jewel, dun dun. That's it. You beat the game. It's really, really short, which kind of sucks because honestly, the game is pretty cool. To beat the levels, you have to collect a certain amount of red diamonds to be able to unlock that little boss's level. And the red diamonds are in 2 types of underground sub levels. And some you must solve some sort of puzzle to get around to get to the red diamond. They start out really simple and get trickier and trickier as the game goes on. This one in particular really pissed me off because I spent a lot of time in destroying all these Wario heads and I just couldn't believe it was actually the last one. And I was wondering if the game was like trolling me or that's what actually happened. The other types of levels are similar to like the secret levels in Mario Sunshine, a game that I hate very much, and I have a whole video explaining why. But these underground sub-levels are more platformy based. So once you have the necessary diamonds, you can ground and pound your way to the boss of that level. Or if you felt like you missed some Spritelings or any of Wario's treasure, you can actually travel back to the beginning. If you manage to collect all the missing treasure, you actually get a mini game to play on the WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games for the Game Boy Advance, which is really, really cool. There are also heart pieces you collect. So if you collect them all from the world, you get half a heart, and you do the same from the other world, that's the other half, and you get a whole heart added to your health. Of course, there are coins as well, and Wario can even open his giant ass mouth and suck them all up. You spend them on buying garlic pieces to restore health at this vending machine, or when you die, you can buy yourself back in. The game isn't like this 2.5D, and sometimes you'll be in full 2D, but you're able to move the camera in front of you a bit to see what lies ahead. And at first, it actually feels like the camera's too close to you, but you eventually get used to it. And in the underground sub-levels, you get full control of the camera going into 3D. And the camera is actually pretty good. It's snappy, it locks on, and it's never in the way. I think it's in the contrary. You can angle it any way you want to help you out, unlike other games. Wario's attacks aren't actually anything fancy, but they work pretty well. He punches, he has a ground and pound, he can charge, and once an enemy is down, he can pick them up to throw them at other enemies or pile drive them. You can also pick them up and start spitting for a good old-fashioned "So long, Bowser."
So long, Bowser.
Some of the level enemies are pretty much the same, except for they just reskin them to fit the level, but they're also level specific enemies and they all respawn right after leaving the screen pretty much. It's not a big deal because they're all pretty easy to defeat and they're even easier just to run away and get away from. I did like that if and when you fall, you go to like this phantom zone where you have to punch boxes to find the spring that's going to spring you back up to the top. And if you fall in this water, you start to lose a bunch of the coins. You also have these ghost thingings that are pestering you along the way. I just like this whole thing. I think I like it better than just taking damage and respawning back to where you fell from. Instead, you have to kind of earn your way back, and also these phantom zones become harder and harder in the later levels, and you can actually drain a lot of your coins if you're not careful. The platforming is pretty balanced. It can be hard, but I really don't remember ever like blaming the game. It was always my fault. I also love these sticky balls. They're hilarious just to see how Wario's fat ass sticks to them and how he moves along them. They work pretty well. You use them for the platforming and throughout most of the game. The game looks pretty good as well for the times. I didn't see any major issues, and the music is great too. Yeah, even the pause menu music. I love how Wario's just being an annoying little shit. He's such a troll. But if you sit there for 50 minutes, he will stop and apologize. The world bosses are fun and silly and honestly really simple. You pretty much do the same thing to defeat them. You have to find a way to hit them or stun them so you can eventually pick them up, chuck them, or pile drive them. And even though the attack method is repetitive, you beat them all exactly the same. The designs are pretty wild and different and honestly really fun. From like this dino lady in a diaper thong thing to this creep that I feel shouldn't be allowed within 100 feet of schools. I honestly think that the world bosses are the highlight from the game. And I was really surprised how simple the game was. Usually I'm criticizing game for being like lazy and repetitive, for just reskinning enemies and having such simple mechanics. But in this case, none of that really came to mind. I really enjoyed my time with Wario World, and I want to play more Wario platformers. So after you like and subscribe this video, let me know down in the comments what non-minigame Wario games I should play next. Maybe one of the Game Boy games, Shake It for the Wii, any game. Literally any game ever made. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to always and forever, you do you.